Welcome to Game Woven, a collaborative storytelling collective building a world one game at a time. This week, we will be playing Echoes of the Lost City by Megan Cross. If you like what we're doing here, you can follow us on Twitter at GameWoven, and you can join our Discord. And please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/GameWoven. I wanted to do a little disclaimer before this episode because it's a unique one. Echoes of the Lost City by Megan Cross is a letter-writing game with redaction as its primary mechanic. So using the prompts in the game, the chronicler, who is someone from the Lost City, writes a few paragraphs about their life in the city, and then, based on some die rolls, removes text from that writing, which the archivist, played by me, then has to decode and try to figure out what life was like in the Lost City. Emily and I played this over Discord DMs, with Emily using the redaction function in Discord, and then I tried to write what I thought was going on in the city. To represent the space between entries in audio, I've used static and other sound effects, so it might be a little jarring at first, but I do bid that you just go along with it and see if you can discover what's going on in the Lost City along with us. This episode bridges between our episode of O Captain, My Captain and our upcoming episode of Fall of the Quiet Year. At the end of O Captain, My Captain, we were left off with our 4 crew members waiting for the captain inside of some kind of a structure while the captain retrieved a prize, a god-killing sword. Echoes of the Lost City explores the ruins around this structure and the nature of the god-killing sword itself. Thank you for listening.
The branches joined in vow to work as one. There are many sheaves in the city, some rather large, others content to be but a handful, each with a voice on the council, one who speaks for their kin to keep the balance among everyone. Where adjoining may have each ring their bell as the feeling strikes, ascending has us ring in unison.
Number 1. The Inn. To the wisest and most ancient of counts in the south-central imperial holdings outside the Bowerlands, Count Alegus. Attached is a tracing of one of the first writings we've thus far discovered. Truly, I say to you in humility and joy, that the Emperor has blessed us with such an early finding and so useful a direction to take. When we discussed the initial funding for this journey, I told you I had discovered what I believe to be a transitory text between the languages of the ancient peoples of the West and our own glorious imperial tongue, which is said to be a gift of the gods to the Emperor himself. And when all join in this our perfect language, we shall all celebrate a life eternal neath the Emperor's fatherly gaze. All of this to say that much of the writing is ruined. It is by no failing of my methods that significant amounts of text are wholly illegible due to time. However, 2 important sentences remain intact. One containing the proper noun sheafs, and the second discussing joining and sending. While a great deal of text exists between these terms, I can only surmise that a sheaf is a kind of leader for a group of people, and the city used bells to indicate when the leaders, who speaks for their kin, shall gather. I'm not sure about ascending. Perhaps that is when they have decided, on a way forward, they ring together as a sort of acknowledgement that they have reached accord. Tomorrow's excavation will be the large building to the north, adjacent to this one, which shares a well. If this domed structure was a kind of gathering hall, I suspect the next building shall perhaps be in support of the first. Servants' quarters? Kitchen, dining, and storage? If the sheafs are a kind of semi-familial structure, then it would stand to reason that the larger units should all be under one roof. It would be a wonder from the Emperor himself that I should find evidence that a full, multi-generational family lived here. Your ever loyal servant and teacher, Lord Historian, Métis.
Number 2, the Green Building. Of the chiefs, there are those counselors who are placed on the higher court for the season to handle larger disputes and decisions, so that those younger counselors, and those who wish outside guidance from their chief, can have someone who they can go to. The old mother saw to it that all voices may be heard, and wisdom shared, as well as the credit, the blame, the responsibility. Today, the crows fly as we enter the fall court, and I take a seat on the dais with honor and pride.
Number 2, the Green Building. Dearest Count Elegus, who brings honor and prosperity to every loyal subject and suffering to the wicked. Today I write you at the hour of a most tremendous discovery, perhaps the most important document in a generation. Today, not only have we, yourself included, may you be remembered upon the lips of the Emperor for all eternity, not only discovered a writing that further supports the claim that this ruin is the lost city of Dauletheria, but in a few short sentences we can say with clarity how they arranged their governance, and it is truly an assembly which resembles the might of our very empire. Could these people be our progenitors? Are the seeds of our glory planted in this ancient soil? My greatest friend, I should tremble at the thought. I am unworthy to report this news nor stand upon this sacred ground. Like our inner courts, this city has a high court which dispenses down to the lower courts. Each court has representatives. Perhaps, O righteous liege, you are descended from such an ancient order. Perhaps the Emperor himself shall lay claim to such a lineage. How, I wonder, can one be older than eternity? Such a miracle that the greatest ruler in history should also, perchance, be the greatest ruler of prehistory? What wonders our Emperor has seen! That he shall keep these mysteries for us to discover is an honor beyond my scope, and so I defer fame to you, my eternal steward. Of interest is the mention of a new proper noun, Old Mothers. I believe this should be a kind of euphemism, a folk term for their leadership and the maternality of their guidance. Surely these people would not stoop to something as foolish as bicameral structure of kingship. The madness of it. Waste not a passing thought on such nonsense. It is my academic opinion that this is not the case. Greatest destiny and endless wealth to you, my gracious host, your undying servant, Métis.
Number 3, the Watchtower. We always believe that we have more time. It was a stern gaze that drained the blood of his face, and his mind has been uneasy ever since. May the sky see the seasons change in peace.
Number 3, the Watchtower. To the gracious and forgiving Count Elegus, I grovel at the feet of your might and mercy that this day I have little to report. In excavating a great watchtower upon the bluff overlooking the city and river below, we had hoped to gain further knowledge of the military might of this society. However, all was for naught, as any writings therein were lost due to time. If we are to glean further knowledge from these old pages, such restoration shall have to take place in my own study. The work is not done. Take heart, and I beg your infinite patience. The gifts of history reveal themselves for the persistent. Time, my dear friend and most just master, is on our side, and there are treasures abound which lurk beneath the surface of our ignorance. If it should so please my lord, a gift of further funding and support would assure that my researchers can explore more quickly, more deeply, and more diligently. More to come in light eternal. Your humble scribe and dutiful lore-keeper, Métis. From the Journal of Eternal Lord Historian Métis. Elegus will not like this, and so no return is preferable to an ill portent this early in my research. It is clear that news reached this place and one of their leaders, perhaps a chief's leader or perhaps a guard captain, and this individual was shaken to the core. My greatest wonder is this: we always think we have more time. Did these people know what was to come? Is this how they came to be destroyed? How long had they been waiting for their end? Did they think they would last forever?
Number 4. Large building on the left. I've spent much time in the archives over my years. Those who would wield the Dawnbreaker to do so. This has remained preserved in its ruins as a reminder of consequences of what may come to pass should one dare wish to wield the sword uninvited. The gardens are quite beautiful here.
Number 4. The building to the left. To my ever-patient companion and patron, Count Aleches. Eureka! The wait has paid off, and we have been rewarded for our efforts with another confirmation that this is the lost city of Dowlatheria. We know of the old legends, the most important lost treasure in history, the Dawnbreaker. And as I stand in Unlife, I can confirm this restored passage in what appears to be the remnants of a botanical garden clearly states that this city claimed to house the very blade. There is a further implication that I find most intriguing. The blade itself is housed in a ruin, implying that the town sprung up after the blade was placed here. What could have drawn these people? Why here? Assuredly, the combination of river and bluffs make for a fine place to live, but things are beginning to make sense otherwise. The mismatched materials and design in the foundations of many of the homes. The larger homes appear to be built directly into the bedrock, whereas the smaller houses use stones from the cliffside placed on top of the bedrock. Did these people know? The passage implies the people here built up a kind of proto-religion around the Dawnbreaker. Fitting, if a bit backward. I hope that the social taboo around the sword means that it is still here. Oh, my glorious Count, we are inches from everlasting victory. Your ever-dogged sleuth, Lord Historian Meti.
Number 5. Cluster in the center. I have spoken of that font of knowledge, that we might pass on all that we know. But it's a special bond to being able to touch and see where it came from. It is that they be maintained and kept open that all may access. Today I have been shut out. The sunset, the moment the setting light hits the wall. She has even been witnessed in the morning light. Gaze. Oh, I feel all too well. Has been to his idea. He claims we have too soft, complacent, weak, and that the roots of the not to be but he is convinced that the is a threat, and there's talk of wielding the Dawnbreaker to fit. The have been sealed out of by those would-be the way it is to keep on their and away from when may befall us should they wishes to use the sword to take a new age, the whims that hold no sway over a beautiful city. We are a land of the people. It was decided long ago that all may have a voice. Who are we to silence the voices of others in the name of so-called those supposed killers of the people to shut away our and claim the way forward as their own is a disgrace. But the people are being pulled into their my children stand behind me, but will the others? The council is being divided and doubt sown in both sides. I am afraid. Eloch have these fools know not what they have begun.
Number 5. The cluster of buildings in the center. To the glorious Count Aleches, conqueror of the plains and devourer of mountains. We have scavenged and sorted just about every bit of detritus from the small homes clutched in the north center of town. It was long work, but untiring thanks to the dozen thralls you sent to cover the night sorting. Among the remains we found hundreds of artifacts, some intact and others only fragments. One such find, a diary which I believe can be linked to our mysterious author from the Botanical Gardens, whom I'll call E. It's quite damaged, and I may not be able to glean a great deal of information until I return to the estate, but I believe there is another direct mention of the... Finally, I believe we have triangulated the ruin that the E-source says will house the... The ruins of a cathedral in the center of town with architecture that looks much older than the structures surrounding it. Tomorrow, I will gather my 4 best assistants and begin an expedition. Look forward to good news in the coming days and a brighter future for the Empire. Eternal Lord Historian Matisse. From the Diary of Matisse. Once again, I must keep a finding from Elegus. If this fragmented page is to be understood, the town destroyed itself and the Dawnbreaker, or perhaps belief in the Dawnbreaker, was involved. Given absolute power, someone with ambition and an outlook counter to what appears to be an egalitarian rule, well, such a figure would cleave society in a single blow. These people were not properly steeled for the arrival of a strong leader, a conqueror. Perhaps this person mentioned in the diary is an imperial progenitor? Why then would the Dawnbreaker still be here? I will find a way to tell Elegus, but I think the answer is in the cathedral. Tomorrow! Excelsior!
Number 6. The Cathedral. That accursed blade. It was no gift. It was a curse given. There was a rot growing in the foundation that we missed.
Number 6. The Cathedral. Count Elegus. I, the Eternal Lord Historian Matisse, do hereby resign my commission in your service. I relinquish my holdings, estate, and title. This is not the lost city of Dau Latheria. There is no lost city of Dau Latheria. We are chasing ghosts in the dark, hearing voices from the mouth of an empty cave and shouting back into nothing. Do not pursue me. Your thralls are dead. My assistants are gone. I am alone here, and soon I will leave this place behind me and all of my findings. Matisse. From the Diary of Lord Historian Matisse. Final entry. It's real, and it is terrible. The world is fortunate it only claimed Dau Latheria. A letter from Count Elegus to Count Zenokostovich. Count Zenokostovich, I have a problem I'd like to discuss before your next voyage to the Blood River Bend. Once again, I received a message from a Lord Historian Matisse, claiming to have found Dau Latheria. I have no such historian in my service, nor would I grant an archivist an eternal title. I went through my personnel library and that of my predecessor and found such a figure, who was claimed as deceased a full century before my assignment here. I am considering sending an expedition to the location in the historian's missives. Perhaps there is a way to remove the curse that has befallen this spirit. Seeking your counsel, particularly your familiarity with exorcism. Count Elegus. Thank you for listening to Game Woven. Please give us a follow on Twitter at GameWoven, join the Discord, support the Patreon, and consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. This week's episode featured Emily, as was foretold, one of our regular cast members, and myself. This episode was edited by me, T.T. Benjamin. It also featured original music from Kyellen. The track and title was one commissioned for me for a previous podcast called The Hymn to Dawnrod. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much to Megan Cross for Echoes of the Lost City. That was a lot of fun. We'll see you again next time.